All right, welcome everyone. Happy Friday. Thank you so much for joining us today. I'm really excited. We've got our friends from Blue Gator here. We're going to be talking about data and engagement for arts and culture organizations. Let's kick things off. So we know your time is very precious, so we want to thank you for spending your Friday morning or afternoon or evening or watching this later on if it's a recording for you. So thank you for investing your time and energy to learn more about how Salesforce supports arts and culture organizations by unifying data and providing engagement tools to reach out with the right message at the right time. So let's kick things off. What would an engagement webinar be without some engagement? So we welcome you to share your thoughts in the Q&A box. What is top of mind for you and your organization as you're thinking about scaling engagement and embarking on a digital transformation journey? Are you looking to grow your annual visitation? Are you looking to grow income from fundraising? Do you want to build that complete view of your stakeholders? Is it all of the above? Put your thoughts in the Q&A. We'd love to hear from you. Moving on, just a quick round of introductions. My name is Mike Brown. I'm a strategic solution engineer at Salesforce. And in my role, I work almost exclusively with arts and culture organizations, which is a nice match to my background. I spent 18 years at the Exploratorium. So really happy to be here with you all today. Matt?
Thanks, Mike. Hi, everybody. My name is Matthew Hannigan. I'm also a solution engineer on our nonprofit digital engagement team, which means I work exclusively with nonprofits on their digital marketing and engagement solutions. And I also come from a performing arts background, and I'd love to partner with Mike and TJ on projects in the sector. Prior to joining Salesforce, I was director of technology solutions at the 92nd Street Y, where I implemented Marketing Cloud. I was a Marketing Cloud customer for 3 years and love talking about it. So excited to walk you through this presentation today and turn it over to TJ.
Yeah, so I'm TJ Christensen. I'm the CEO of Blue Gator. We are a Salesforce consulting partner that works in core CRM Salesforce, Marketing Cloud, Tableau, and Data Cloud. And we specifically help arts and cultural venues do 3 things: migration, so moving data from existing legacy systems into Salesforce, integrations with ticketing systems into that CRM, and then automations from a workflow perspective, or as Matt will show later, from a marketing and engagement perspective. My background, I spent my entire career in the venue space, working with theme parks, zoos, museums, aquariums, large and small, all over the world. And I'm super excited to be here today and be part of the discussion.
Awesome. Thank you, TJ. Thanks for your partnership and bringing this content to our audience today. Now, to get one small clerical thing out of the way, I don't think we're going to be talking about anything forward-looking today, but just in case something does come up, we want to remind you that Salesforce is a publicly traded company, and we encourage you to always make any purchasing decisions based on solutions that are currently available. So now that's out of the way, let's talk about our plan for the next 40 minutes. So we're going to kick things off with an overview of Salesforce solutions for arts and culture organizations. I'll then hand things over to Matt, who's going to walk us through an art of the possible and a brief glimpse at one of our engagement solutions, so you can see how things work under the hood. And then TJ is going to bring us home at the end with how to kind of manage and monitor KPIs relating to engagement and other important metrics that you might want to track and operationalize. So thinking about, what is our North Star for arts and culture organizations, meet Alex Garcia here. And what we want to enable you to do is track the full context of your relationship with her in the single place to reduce or eliminate virtual swivel chairing. And what that might look like is understanding what she's bought, right? So tickets and visits, donations, whether they're transactional or philanthropic. Is she a current member or subscriber? And just, of course, her basic contact information so you know how to get in touch with her. We want to take that to the next level as well. We want to know how you've been engaging with her outside of those transactional processes. That may be meetings you've had with her, phone calls, emails you've exchanged, texts and chats, and of course, what she's doing on social media, which will give us a great glimpse into what she's interested in. And to take this even a step further, we want to know what her interests are so we can match them with programming and opportunities at your organization. And of course, her preferences for how she'd like to be engaged and through what channel, what time. And the question we want to ask is, how do we optimize this engagement with Alex? So thinking about the opportunity we have is really about unifying data to fuel this engagement. And it all starts with, where does this data come from? So you might have data that you'd like to bring into your CRM or your fundraising platform from online giving, from your ticketing system, from retail. So you understand what's been purchased, web visits, what pages has Alex looked at, how long has she spent there, and is she a volunteer? And of course, there's more examples here as well. And then what are the use cases that unifying this data would enable? So thinking about the ability to personalize donor appeals or send pre and post event communications, encouraging Alex to take action to maybe buy an upgrade experience or upgrade to a higher level of membership following her visit. And of course, volunteer onboarding, thinking about, if Alex is a donor, wouldn't it be nice to recognize her as a donor again when you're onboarding her into your volunteer program? And then we think about, how will you execute on these use cases? Through what channels? Will you be emailing or chatting or accepting a phone call from Alex? And you need this data in one place that's accessible so that when you make this outbound communication to Alex, it can be contextual. And then when you receive an inbound communication from Alex, you have that information and can act on it at the right time. But the challenge is that historically, we find in many discovery engagements we have with organizations that there are a number of disconnected systems, and that leads to trapped data. And so this slide's a little comical, but it is reality for a number of organizations where you may have procured solutions over a series of decades, in some cases, and they're not connected because that was an afterthought 20 years ago or even 10 years ago. So you're thinking about even the journey of ticketing data. Doesn't marketing want to know who's bought tickets? Doesn't accounting want to know how much revenues come in? And there are many other examples like that. So the solution really is to adopt a platform approach that can power your entire organization. And this is the big value prop that Salesforce brings to your organization. And our cloud solutions all grounded in trust, innovation, scale, and security. So you know that your investment will always be fresh with innovation annually, and your data will be secure. On top of that is our metadata platform layer, where you can count on Salesforce being configurable through clicks and not code. Of course, we do pro code as well if you want to get into Apex and Java and all that fun stuff. Drive collaboration, mobile out of the box, and then do more with less through automation and AI. But if there's three things I want you to remember about this slide, is number one, Salesforce is highly configurable. Through Nonprofit Cloud, you'll get unified CRM, including sales operations and service operations, with deep connections into marketing pretty much right out of the box. And next, you can complement that with pre-built partner apps through our App Exchange. These are things like ticketing and membership. Event management would be for donor events, seated galas, right? Donations, both back of house and online. Telephony solutions, SMS, and a whole lot more. And then, of course, you also have this huge community backing you and enabling your success, whether that is professional services through Salesforce, professional services through amazing partners like TJ and Blue Gator, or just your peer community through the Trailblazer community. I can't think of a question I've had that hasn't been answered quickly through that Trailblazer community or on Trailhead. So a lot of great resources out there to support you. But the key message here is about the platform being able to power all areas of the organization. But you don't have to do it all at once, which is great. So this is kind of a hypothetical layout here of how you might phase this over time. Maybe you decide to adopt Salesforce, and in phase one, you stand up fundraising. You get started with marketing. You build out the mobile app for staff that's actually out of the box, really, to engage and allow your team to have data at their fingertips when they're going out to have these donor visits or engaging with folks at member evening hours. You get it connected into accounting and so on and so forth. Then in phase two, you deepen your investment in marketing by adding personalization. You add chatbots for service on the website. Maybe in phase 3, you extend into your volunteers. You decide to activate telephony so that when your agents in the reservations center receive a phone call from a field trip teacher or from a donor, all the information is right there on the screen so they can recognize that upcoming activity and serve them without having to go into another system or even phone a friend. And then fourth, this can go on forever, of course, but just an illustrative example of other things that Salesforce can help you with, such as IT ticket management, event rentals, integrations with other systems as well. So the vision here for Arts and Culture Organization is to drive org-wide collaboration, automate as much as we can to get you out of that admin monotony and into deepening relationships with your stakeholders, elevating insights, which you're going to see a little bit more from TJ at the end of our session today, ensure that you have the keys to drive the configuration of your platform after it's been deployed with a strong partner like TJ, and give you that comprehensive stakeholder view so you have that full context. So bringing it back to the stakeholder view, let's take a look at Alex again. And we want to enable you to support Alex through her channel of preference and by having all the information about how she's engaged with you, whether it's through a ticket purchase, a volunteer activity, through a corporate event, or a website visit. Having all that data there can allow you to really hypercharge your engagement solutions. Now, what does this actually look like in Salesforce? So we've got a couple of screenshots here. This is Nonprofit Cloud in an app that we've built for member and visitor services. And I want to call your attention to the top center of the screen. These are interest tags, and interest tags are a great way to quickly identify the needs and the interests of your stakeholders, to put them in segments so that you can act on them. Also on this screen, you've got some roll-up summaries, and these are high-level summarizations of what Alex has purchased over time through membership or visitation. And if you're a performing arts organization, this could, of course, be subscriptions and event visits or live performance visits. We're just looking at a general admission view here. And if we were to go to the next screen, also within her contact record, you have the ability to drill down and see those individual orders that fuel those summarizations on the prior screen. So you could click into a membership or a subscription and see, the date was purchased, the sales channel, the method of payment, or pretty much any other metric that's important to you without having to go back into that transactional system of record to view the order. And then last but certainly not least, looking at what's in the CRM. And again, this is just an illustrative example, but the engagement that you've had with Alex over time. So here we're looking at open activities, things that your staff, your team are going to be doing with Alex. We have an action plan here for a major gift cultivation effort that will have a series of tasks within it assigned to team members, so everyone's on the same page with what has to happen. You can also take action within CRM. You can log calls, you can send emails, track your meetings. And on the right-hand side is Chatter. And I love Chatter because it allows you to engage about records within the CRM so that that rich contextual historical information about Alex is retained even when staff come and go. It's all here within Salesforce. And now that we've introduced you to who Alex is, how you can consolidate that information about Alex, I'd love for Matt to talk us through how we activate this through our engagement channels.
Great. Thank you so much, Mike. So what I'd like to do is pick up with Alex at the beginning of her journey as we engage with her as she becomes a ticket buyer, as we start to nurture that relationship and bring her down the path of becoming an engaged community member and donor to our fictional performing arts center, Lady Macbeth Theater. And I know we have all sorts of different venues and organizations on the call today, so thank you for allowing me to indulge my inner Shakespeare nerd as we walk through this use case, but the concepts and scenarios extend across the sector. So at the beginning of our journey, Lady Macbeth Theater finds Alex by leveraging their first-party data to find lookalike audiences of their most active and engaged patrons and donors, and then advertise to those audiences with a very specific call to action on social media platforms. So they find Alex with a well-placed ad on Instagram, and she's reminded of the great programming that's right in her area. Now, this drives her to the site, and while she's immediately on board with the current production of Hamlet, she has to check in with her Shakespeare partner in crime, and she holds off on buying tickets. But she's impressed by the depth of programming, the classes, the kids' programs at Lady Macbeth Theater. So she signs up for updates. She's able to manage her preferences, opt into her preferred channels, and then express exactly what kind of programming she's interested in. So then shortly after signing up, Lady Macbeth Theater can deduce that this email sign up came through the Instagram ad for Hamlet. This individual indeed does not have a ticket, and they're able to follow up with an attractive personalized email. That's exactly what it takes to get Alex to convert. And then she purchases her 2 tickets. So that's great. That Instagram ad worked exactly as it was designed. We used Marketing Cloud engagement to find a prospect, and we converted her. But where do we go from here? How do we engage Alex to stay top of mind and nurture that relationship as we deepen our engagement with her and deepen her engagement with the organization? Well, first, we can automatically enter her into a number of different automated journeys. The first one being an automated pre-post event journey designed to make her patron experience as seamless as possible. So we meet her with her barcode at her fingertips on the day of the performance. We can follow up with a post-performance interactive review that she can respond to directly within an email. We can send her on another automated journey that delivers content specific to her based on her past purchases, her expressed interests. So when Coriolanus goes up, we know that she's likely to be among the first to purchase this, and we again meet her where she is. And we also know that Alex has a proclivity to engage with social media content, and she's repeatedly opened emails regarding kids programming, but she's never purchased. But we have these data points, so we can place an ad on Instagram, staying top of mind. And remember, we can also take Alex's, this first party data we now have on Alex and find more individuals like her. And then also if SMS is part of our campaign and our strategy, Alex has opted into SMS messaging. So we can find her directly on her phone and offer her, subscription values or offers based on her, status as a soon to be major donor, a valued donor within the organization. So all sorts of different ways that we can develop this relationship with Alex. So let's see how we do this in practice. So we'll jump into Marketing Cloud Engagement. Welcome to Marketing Cloud Engagement. I'll give you a quick overview of what we're looking at here. This is our homepage, and I have a current week's snapshot of all scheduled and completed communications that are going out of Marketing Cloud, taking the guesswork out of when I can schedule these types of communications based on what else I have going out. The next thing I want to draw your attention to is this navigation bar up top. Now, everything to the left of this divider, these are my studios. My studios are just my channels. So anything I would need to complete a one-off communication, be that an email or an SMS message, I do that in my studio. So if I was to click into any one of these, it provides me a space to load assets, create templates, create messages, anything I would need to do to deliver that one-off communication. Now, everything to the right of that divider are my builders. It's exactly what it sounds like. They allow me to build things. Analytics Builder is our reporting and dashboard suite. Journey Builder, we'll take a look at that. That's where we can build out those automated strategic series of touch points to kind of create a cadence of communication with our constituents. Content Builder is just our digital asset library where all of our templates and emails and content blocks live. And then Audience Builder is our data model. And I'm just going to take a quick peek into Audience Builder because this, for my money, is the foundational strength of Marketing Cloud. It's the fact that it is data agnostic. The key takeaway about Audience Builder is that I can connect to, if there's a data source I would need to connect to, I can connect to it. Of course, we have that native connector to Salesforce CRM. So all of that rich data that Mike was just showing us, we can bring that in near real time and activate on it immediately. But that's not necessary. I didn't have Salesforce CRM when I was at 92Y. So I just brought my ticketing data directly in via SFTP transfer. We can bring that in via APIs. So bottom line here is I can take all of my data institutionally and build every salient data point, every data attribute around my central marketing contact, and then take action on it. So once I have all of that data built around my central marketing contact, I can start slicing and dicing that data into meaningful audience segments. And I do that in just a few clicks on the fly in our segmentation tool. And we'll just build one out here. Now this, on the left, I have all of my data attributes that I've just connected into Salesforce Marketing Cloud. And if I want to start pulling in some data, and let's say I want to pull in anybody who has not given a gift since last year. And I also actually want to suppress anybody who is a major donor. So anybody who is not equal to major, but I want to pull in anybody who purchased a ticket in winter 23 season. Great. So now I've done that. And for whatever reason, I want this particular segment to be geographically specific. So I'm going to pull in anybody who is in New Jersey or New York. And then I can change this operator here quickly to or. Now I have some nice nested logic in this segment, and I can save this and move on to the next one. I can set an automation so that this data is always refreshed. This was probably my greatest game efficiency out of the gate when I implemented Marketing Cloud, because those data segments that I was the data guy supporting marketing and development. So pulling lists together wasn't hard, but it was often time consuming. This took a lot of things off my plate. I could automate them and start focusing on some more strategic initiatives. Great. So now I've created this segment. Now I want to start sending some assets to it, and we will do that in Email Studio. So we're in Email Studio. I'm going to quickly go into this email that I've created for Lady Macbeth Theater, and I'm going to edit some content. And within this email builder, there are a few things that I want to call out here. It's a great drag and drop WYSIWYG builder. You can build these out of templates. This email was built out of a template, so I actually don't have the rights to alter this header or footer. So based on creating these emails from templates, I know that I'm always communicating with a unified marketing voice. I don't have to reinvent the wheel every time an email has to go out. And I always know that my canned spam information is within my footer, so I'm always in compliance in that regard. Anything else, I have the rights to change. So if I want to switch out this hero image, I can navigate to Content Builder. Again, our digital asset library, I can switch out that image. If I want to add a new image, I can just drag and drop that on there. And again, navigate to Content Builder. I can bring in some personalization into the body of the email and into the subject line. So any of those data attributes that are driving this email from that segment we just created, I can leverage those for personalization within the email. So those are our basic content blocks, right? We have the image, we have our buttons, we have the text, we have HTML. So again, I like to call out that if you have HTML, individuals who code in HTML on staff, you can create these emails in the WYSIWYG builder. They can tweak the HTML at will. If you're currently using HTML assets or HTML emails and don't want to lose them upon implementation, you can take that HTML, paste it into email builder. Those emails will render. So those are our basic content blocks. I will go back to my default view. And the other one that I want to call out, the other content block I want to call out are my dynamic content blocks. So I can present different calls to action or different images based on what I know about my individuals. So Lady Macbeth Theater doesn't just have Shakespeare productions. We're also dabbling into some modern dance and ballet performances. So if I have an individual who has purchased tickets to dance in the past, I can present that image or call to action specifically for those individuals who have purchased or expressed an interest in modern dance. And same for ballet. And creating these rules is just as simple as that drag and drop segmentation tool. I can say anybody who's purchased a ticket to a performance type of dance, that's who's going to get that piece of content. Great. So now I've created my email. This is ready to go out, but I want it to be the first in a series of communications that are going out. And I want to create that cadence of communications in Journey Builder. So welcome to Journey Builder. Just to orient you to what we're looking at here, you'll notice that most of the real estate taken up on the screen is my Journey Builder canvas. And what I do is I take any of these components and drag them onto the canvas. These green icons here are my entry sources. There are a number of different ways that individuals can enter a journey. It can be from that filtered data table or data extension that we just created in our segmentation tool. We can use an API event. So when I was at 9to-Y, we had an API that fired off when somebody purchased the ticket that launched somebody into that pre and post event journey. The next components are my activities. So I can drag my emails onto this. And that's the first thing that happens is this email in the journey. So that's the first thing that's going to go out, but not before I pull in some Salesforce AI muscle into this with this Einstein send time optimization widget, which is going to identify when somebody's more likely to open and engage with an email. I go through my emails at night. Einstein is going to recognize that and deliver this email to me later in the day. So it's just a great way to stay on top of a recipient's inbox. So I can also identify whether or not somebody has engaged with that piece of content. So that email goes out 4 days later. I set this engagement widget that says, hey, determine whether or not somebody's engaged with that email. Did they? That's great. And that engagement can be set to be a click on a link, then open, a click on any link in the email or a specific link. And if somebody has engaged with that, that's great. They will go down my optimal path for this journey, and a day later get an individual giving ask. But one thing I want to do is I want to create a path out of that little that optimal journey for all of my major donors. If I've included major donors in this data set, I don't want to send them an individual getting asked. I want to create a task in Salesforce for my major gift officer to pick up the phone and call this, because end of year giving campaign, I want them to pick up the phone and talk to that major gift or that major donor. So directly from this journey, I can create a task in Salesforce CRM for a gift officer to come pick them up. Now, what about those individuals who did not engage in that first piece of content? What do I do with them? Maybe I don't know what to do with them. So I can split that unengaged audience out 50-50, and maybe I want to send another email with a more urgent call to action. But I also want to test out an ad audience, because again, end of year giving campaign, this is an urgent call to action. I'm going to siphon these off, create an ad audience, and try to find them with advertising on a social network. Or if they've opted in to an SMS messaging, I can also try them with an SMS message. So a lot of different ways that I can get creative and create different versions and types of journeys. Again, these journeys are not set it and forget it. These are built to be iterated. You see that I have versions here. So as I test these and learn what is really driving engagement for my constituents, I can start to optimize these journeys. And so that is the quick and dirty of connecting data into Marketing Cloud, creating some assets and messaging for that audience segment, and then pulling that email into that strategic series of touch points. Now, when I get to this part of the presentation, we want to know what engagement looks like. We want to know what measures and KPIs we're looking at. So for that, I'm actually going to turn it over to TJ, and he's going to talk about operationalizing all of this engagement data that we saw. And I'll turn it over to TJ.
All right. Yeah. Thanks, Matt. Yeah. And just as a quick recap, Mike's done a great job showing us how our team members can leverage data within Salesforce on sort of a one-to-one basis to better understand how that individual has interacted with the organization. And then Matt's sort of taken that a step further and see how we can leverage that data to enhance how we interact and communicate with visitors, patrons, members, donors, volunteers, etc. What I want to do is talk about how we can turn all of that data into information that can be used at sort of the C-suite director level to make informed decisions about how to drive the business forward. So if you can go to the first slide. map. So one of the things that we talk about when we're creating visualizations and for kind of tracking these KPIs is I call it like the friends and family test, right? So I have friends and family that are aware, like close friends and family, are they know what I do for a living, and they're aware of some of the nuances of my work and stuff like that. And they may even know some of the high level things that I think are important from a tracking perspective, like for all businesses, revenue, things like that. What they don't know are the nitty gritty details of that. So when we think about building visualizations, we want to think about them as they need to be able to pass the friends and family test, because when you're sitting as an executive board or an executive team, you're aware of marketing. You conceptually know what marketing is, but you don't know the nitty gritty of what's driving trends or things like that from a marketing perspective or a fundraising perspective or a membership or subscription perspective. So we want to unpack that a little bit here in the next few slides. So if we think about marketing KPIs in general, and these are just sample dashboards. Matt, if you want to go to the next one, yeah. So this is a very basic marketing KPI dashboard, right? So we're tracking sends, open rate, and click-through rate. And what we want to do is we want to start at the top and work our way down. So at the top are our key KPIs. Are we up or down on what we're tracking from a percentage basis? So we can see our sends are down by 35%. We can then dive into what the drivers of that are and see where the sends are coming from by category. And then we can kind of show trends, and we can say, maybe there's a big event that was happening in February. We can look back and say, okay, it looked like, early December, we were sending sort of a bunch of different messages around the event. Had a lot of people sign up, so they got welcome emails and things like that. We took, the week of the holidays off on, just sending sort of last chance things, maybe for last minute gifts. But then we picked up our event communication. So I can clearly discern that from that data in that particular pillar. And as I move sort of left to right, we can do the same thing on open rates. Have our open rates, are they going up or down? What emails might be driving those, things of that nature. And then click-through rate. So what emails are performing well from a click-through perspective? And in the chat, actually just not to call you out, but I'll call you out. So Orlando asked, on the Instagram one, how can we track Instagram? And this is admittedly just data from Marketing Cloud. A lot of this is in Marketing Cloud natively, but we like to surface that in Tableau, because you can see it across, you can use Tableau to see across all different businesses instead of switching applications. And on the marketing side, you can pull in GA4 data, whether using pixel tracking or UTMs or something like that, to see everything from send to click to book, conversion, average order size, all of those things. There's lots of nuances on how that gets put together and making sure that everything's, can be tied together from a data perspective, but that can also all be tracked in similar sort of fashion here. Let's say we want to take a cut at the next part of the organization. So let's look at how our fundraising is doing. A lot of organizations might think of fundraising as, opportunities as sort of production. So what is the development team? What are they producing as far as like commitment on pledges and things like that? Payments are actually cash. Accounting is very concerned on like what cash is hitting and are we on target for that? And then, another KPI you might be tracking is average gift. So, really quickly on here, we can see, we're tracking opportunities. We're within striking distance, 91%. We can see that we had some, typically, we've got, our goal is 4 million per quarter, and we did okay here. We can see that the thing that's driving that is the individual giving. So maybe we need to do something around corporate sponsorships or donations or something like that if that's tracking behind. We can look at payments. We can see where the cash is coming in and same sort of thing. And then average gift, we can see where our average gifts are, and we can see that we're behind a little bit, $26, $7 behind where we should be. But and you can see across the different things where those might fall. If you go to the next one, say we want to look at subscriptions. So we're a performing arts venue. We want to look at subscriptions. So we can see our overall subscriptions are down by 7%. Renewals are up by 4.8%, but it looks like we got some people dropping out on tenure. People year over year are falling out. And when we can dive into that, is it the Premier series? Is it the A series or the B series? How are those performing from a subscription perspective? We can also see trends in where expiration dates are dropping off and start dates and things like that. So we can get a better sense of maybe what our cycle is from a sales perspective on memberships and subscriptions. And then the final one is really around, voice of the customer, patron services here. You can see if you're using Salesforce for not just development and fundraising, but you're using it as a true CRM for all of your patron engagements, including issue resolution. We can see our case volume. Is it up or down? We can see our first contact resolution. So when people do have an issue, are we solving it that first time, or are they having to contact us multiple times? What channel are we solving the resolution? How are we performing by channel, call, chat, email, social? And then finally, one of the big things is around customer satisfaction. Talk to a lot of venues that they either stop sending surveys or they still send surveys, but they don't know how to action the data. It's a great example of how to track and action the data. We can see right here that customer satisfaction is up over last year. And we can see in the drivers that, we've identified Richard Moore as, he's doing a great job on CSAT and number of cases. So he's moving quickly, and those customers have a high CSAT score. And Joseph Anderson is at the lower end of that. And he may be a new employee, maybe he needs training, or, maybe he needs some coaching or something like that. So again, just being able to, again, surface this data at a level to where it passes the friends and family test, where if you're familiar with the area, but don't really know the nuances, you can start asking and probing and having a thread of conversation across the executive team or the operations team on what might be driving particular things across the organization and where you can address that to proactively drive results versus waiting for being reactive and things of that nature.
Awesome, TJ. And these are deployable, right? These are all pre-built Tableau dashes.
Yeah, it's an accelerator, so they're built to integrate with Salesforce objects and pull it right in. Yeah, so we can, there is some light customization, but because every org is just slightly different. But yeah, they're built to be plugged in, pretty easily.
Of course. All right. Awesome. Thank you. We have got one question that we haven't resolved just yet. So this might be, actually, both of you are probably very well suited to answer. So the question is, filtered data extensions can leverage data from related objects for more complex segmentations, such as those who have got tickets for XYZ or merchandise from the specific artist from the e-com store. Is that possible?
Yeah, so Matt can probably answer this, but I'll answer it too. I mean, whether it's a filtered data extension or something else in Marketing Cloud, the beauty of Marketing Cloud, if it exists in Salesforce from an object perspective, and there are relationships between those objects, you can grab that data and filter and segment on it. So, the devil's in the details on those, on where it exists and things like that, on whether a filter data extension is a better tool for that versus another tool that's in Marketing Cloud. But you could absolutely do that.
Awesome. Thank you.
Yeah, and just to add on to just a yes and to that, like even if it's not Salesforce data and you're connecting that data in from another data source, as long as you establish that relationship within Marketing Cloud, you can do that as you're creating that filter.
Yeah,
So,
exactly. You could have multiple systems feeding data, not Data Cloud, Marketing Cloud. And as long as you have a way to sort of associate all those different tables, you can pull all those together to do pretty cool segmentation.
We have received two questions about Leap Patron Management, which I believe to be Patron Manager, which is a performing arts solution built on Salesforce, and if customers can use Marketing Cloud engagement with Patron Manager. I was going to follow up to find the answer, unless either of you happen to know offhand.
Caveated yes, I think. Yeah, should be able to.
Yeah, I mean, the takeaway from, and especially there's an advantage to Salesforce on Salesforce. And the key takeaway from just my experience and just the value of Marketing Cloud is, if there's a data source you need to connect to, you can connect to it. The fact that it's built on Salesforce is an added plus. But yeah, we can definitely follow up with specific information about that connector for Leap.
Yeah, thank you. So I jotted down the contact information for both folks who asked that, and we can follow up with you directly with more information. Great, thank you for the engagement. Any other questions? Please feel free, type them in the Q&A. We will be making this recording available to all of you. So thank you again for your time and investment and energy for listening to how we can help your organization bring data together and engage with your stakeholders. Oh, one more question. Yes, another checkbox on information about LEAP patron management. So great, we'll definitely follow up with that. Any last words, Matt and TJ?
No, just a seconded thank you to everybody for joining.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for the time. And yeah, if you have any questions, feel free to reach out. We'd love to chat with you.
Awesome. Thank you all. Have a great Friday and weekend.
See ya.